What's up, guys? Deus Ex Machina here, DEM Sports, bringing you a brand new video. I gotta talk about these college football playoff brackets. I just got back. I was at a watch party for Lando Norris winning his first drivers' championship. I've been a Lando Norris fan for the last 5 years or so. Great to see him finally win a drivers' championship, and McLaren clinched the constructors championship about a month ago or so. But yeah, that was awesome. Been celebrating that, but these college football playoff rankings, like most of you, I am pissed off about these things. Do I think they got the end result correct? Yeah, more or less. I just can't stand the way they went about getting there. That's my biggest issue. So, let's talk about BYU. Obviously, got left out. That that's painful. As a Big 12 fan, I really wanted to see both BYU and Texas Tech in there. So now it's up to Texas Tech to carry that torch. Would BYU have won the national championship or anything? No, they probably wouldn't have. I mean, I don't even know if BYU would have won the first round of the playoffs, but they deserved to be there. According to ESPN's own metrics, BYU had the number 9 strength of schedule, strength of record, wins or losses. So that to me is one of the most important metrics because that tells you what your resume actually is, what you accomplished. They were number 9. If you're supposed to have the top 12 teams, how do you leave the number 9 team out? Miami, number 14, and Notre Dame, number 13. So Miami got in, Notre Dame even got left out. But Miami, you want the top 12 teams. Why do you have the number 14 team in there? Strength of schedule, which the SEC was who pushed so hard for strength of schedule. Strength of schedule. BYU 22. All right, not the greatest. I mean, they're not like number 2 or something like that, but 22. You know who is even way further down? Miami 45. Notre Dame's 44. Now, interesting fact in strength of schedule, WVU's 34. West Virginia's higher than Miami and Notre Dame. Now, that's probably one of the reasons why we ended the season with 4 wins, but you get what I'm saying there, though. BYU strength of schedule well above Miami or Notre Dame. FPI, and this is where I should probably give a content warning because I've been censoring myself for the first few videos, but I'm kind of done with that. I'm just going to be who I am. If you don't like cursing and swear words and stuff like that, probably shouldn't follow me. Probably shouldn't listen if you have little kids around. But, I'm kind of done with that. And I kind of enjoy channels where people are themselves. So I'm going to tell you what I really think about FPI. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit metric made up by ESPN. And it's made up to further the SEC. All the metrics in FPI are just there to benefit the SEC. That's the only place where BYU falls behind Miami and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number 3 in FPI. Miami's 7. BYU 16. That's still very respectable. According to the FPI, they're the number 16 team. So they beat them in strength of record, strength of schedule, and are a little behind in FPI. I've been saying for a long time, I don't know why CBS Sports or Fox Sports or somebody doesn't create their own ranking, some kind of college football power ranking thing and just use metrics that benefit the Big 12 or the ACC or whoever their main, team is. Maybe TNT should do that. They're pushing for this Big 12 thing. They should come out with their own rankings. I don't know. Anyway, so why did BYU fall in the rankings here? It's because they lost their college football or their college their conference championship game. They lost the conference championship game. That to me sets a very bad precedent. If you're going to punish teams for losing a conference championship game, you're going to end up having teams opt out of their conference championship game. I honestly think we should just get away with them entirely if it was up to me. But if as long as we have them, you cannot punish them. Even Kirk Herbstreit agrees with me. He said this during the SEC championship game. This is what he said.
And I don't think teams should ever be punished for playing a conference championship game.
There you have it, straight from his mouth. And this is why I love Kirk Herbstreit. This is why I love Herbie. He says, he said it right. I don't think a team should ever be punished for losing a conference championship game. I think we can all agree with that. If you're going to have to play an extra game, you can't punish the team for playing it. Wait a minute. I'm hearing that we didn't play the entire clip. Can we play the entire clip? What else was said? What else is there to say? That's what should be said. Okay, we're going to play the entire clip now.
And I don't think teams should ever be punished for playing a conference championship game, but in this case, BYU.
Oh. But in this case, BYU. Kirk Herbstreit, you fucking coward. You ESPN shill, you dog. Just say what you want to say. Say what you really mean. No team should be punished for playing in the SEC championship game. Well, Mr. Herbstreit, I have excellent news for you. There were a bunch of conference championship games this weekend. And let's start at the top. Ohio State, they lost in the Big Ten conference championship game. They dropped a spot. They were punished. BYU lost in the Big 12 conference championship game. They dropped a spot and were punished. Virginia lost in the ACC championship game. They dropped 2 spots. Hell, North Texas lost in their conference championship game. I don't even know what conference they're in, but they dropped a spot. You want to know who didn't drop a single spot? The team that lost by 3 touchdowns and finished the game with -3 rushing yards. That team just happened to play in the SEC championship game. Congratulations, Alabama, for getting into the college football playoffs and holding your number 9 ranking, even though you fucking sucked in your conference championship game just as bad as any of those other teams. But you didn't get punished one single bit. So, let's talk about why Miami jumped Notre Dame, finally. And like I said, I hate Miami and Notre Dame. I can't stand either of these two teams. They, in my list of like probably top 3 most hated college football programs, those would probably be 2 of them. There would probably be 2 of them right there. I can't stand either one. So I can't believe I'm advocating for either of these teams, but I have been saying for a long time that Miami needs to be above Notre Dame, or else why do we play the game? Why do we play the game? If you're not going to take head-to-head into account, then I don't care if it's week 1, week 2, week 0. If you're not going to take head-to-head into account, then just rank the recruiting classes, and then let's start the college football playoffs with the top 12 recruiting classes. Why play the games? But let's figure out why Miami finally jumped Notre Dame. This is straight from the chairman's mouth.
Was we felt like the way BYU performed in their
Now, this is Hunter Yurachek, or however you say his last name. You want to know how I know when he's telling a lie? When words are coming out of his mouth. If he's talking, he is lying. That is... I didn't think there was anybody in this world more corrupt than a politician in Washington, D.C. I think the College Football Playoff Committee rivals them pretty good. But let's hear what he has to say.
As we felt like the way BYU performed in their championship game, a second loss to Texas Tech in a similar fashion, was worthy of Miami moving ahead of them in the rankings. And once we moved Miami ahead of BYU, then we had that side-by-side comparison that everybody had been hungering for with Notre Dame and Miami.
Okay, so there's 2 main things right there. One I already touched on, the way BYU played in their conference championship. I cannot talk. I'm so worked up I can't even form words. The way BYU played in their conference championship game. So, again, you're setting a precedent here that if you're going to get punished, and now BYU came into the weekend number 11. So they were on the outside anyway, because we basically knew, even if Virginia won, we knew that they would jump. So we knew 2 conference championship teams, conference champions from the outside looking in, were going to get in. So you basically had to be 10 or higher. So BYU had to win to get in. So they had to play. But if you're going to punish teams who are on the outside on a bubble. The use the March Madness term. You got these bubble teams. It is going to happen sooner or later where a number 10, 11, 9, and it doesn't have to be a Big 12 team. It could be, ACC. It could happen to anybody, a group of 5 team. If you are coming in and you're the number 9 team, let's say BYU next year is in the same spot. They're 11-1, and they're number 9, and they're playing, I don't know, Texas Tech again or Arizona State or whoever. They may even be the highest ranked Big 12 team, and they might be the favorites to win. But if they lose, there's that chance that they're going to get bumped out. So why would they even play it? Opt out of the conference championship game. Honestly, if I had my way, just get rid of the conference championship games. Just get rid of them. There's no point to playing them anymore. Period. Just get rid of them. Get rid of the automatic qualifier system. Just take the top 12 teams, because we don't need JMU and Tulane to go in there. And, JMU's playing Oregon. They're going to get beat by 40, 50 points. I'm sorry. I actually like JMU. I actually work with a guy whose nephew played for JMU a few years ago, so I've always kind of rooted for him because of that. But they're gonna get slaughtered. BYU could have at least given Oregon a little bit of a game, I think. I mean, they lost by 4 touchdowns to Texas Tech. They might lose the 4 touchdowns to Oregon, but is JMU going to do any better? No. I guarantee that. So that sets a scary precedent. But the next thing he says, and this is what I really wanted. This is what I really wanted to touch on. This is where I was going with this whole thing. He talks about now that Notre Dame and Miami are side by side, we can get that head-to-head comparison. Now, maybe this is common knowledge, and I don't mean to insult anybody here. I knew this, and I kind of forgot about it, and then when I researched a little bit, I was like, yeah, that is right. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry mouth. So, the way that the CFP rankings work, when everybody comes in, there's supposed to be, I think, 13 guys. I think they're down to 10 or 11 because the whole committee's corrupt. I mean, I didn't think anybody's more corrupt than a Washington, D.C. politician, but this committee gives them a run for their money. Everybody that comes into that room, they bring their top 30 teams. 3-0. 3-0. 30 teams. Any team that gets more than 3 votes goes into a pool and gets voted on and ranked by the CFP committee. So they start off, they say, let's rank 1 through 3. And let's say I'm a member and I have Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. And somebody else has Ohio State, Indiana, and Georgia. And somebody else has Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas Tech. So that's 6 teams that go into that pool. So now we say we've got these 6 teams: Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia. I forget who the 6th team I said was. Anyway, that's 6 teams. They go into that pool. Now we rank those 3. And so we come out with, Indiana, Ohio State, and Georgia. So then number 4, well, the other 3 teams, along with anybody that was ranked 4 through 6, so somebody else might say, well, I had this team as number 4 and this team 5 and this team's. So they all go into a pool. And so then they rank 4 through 6. And then the leftover teams go into the pool to get ranked 7 through 10 or whatever. I know eventually it moves to top, they rank 4 at a time. Where I'm going with that is eventually Miami and Notre Dame are going to be in that same pool of teams. Now, I get that you can't have, Florida State ranked ahead of Alabama based on head-to-head because Florida State sucked and, just pulled off a major upset. But if you have 2 teams in that same pool, Notre Dame and Miami, they're side-by-side in that pool. They don't need to be side-by-side in your rankings. They're already side-by-side in that pool of teams. So you got to look at that pool of teams and go, well, this team played this team head-to-head, and this team won. So, however we rank these teams, this team needs to be ahead of this team. Why was this so hard for them to figure out? Why did it take neither team playing on a completely off weekend for them to flip flop them? And like I said, I have been an advocate that Notre Dame should be ahead, or that Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame this whole season, even though it pains me to say that because I can't stand either of these teams. But I think they finally got it right. It was just so shady how they went about doing it. And they've been setting this up for a while. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but in like our group chat, like with my friends and stuff, I've been saying as soon as Alabama moved up to number 9, I was like, they did that so that Alabama is in no matter what they do. Alabama can win, lose, whatever, and they are in. They are safe. That is why they moved Alabama up to number 9. And then I was like, that also creates a chain reaction because now you got BYU directly in between, so that now when BYU gets their butt kicked by Texas Tech, which we all saw coming, I was like, now they're going to be side by side. And that gives them the excuse to flip them. This literally, somebody was saying that this is like professional wrestling anymore. And I'm like, it really is. Which, I mean, if that's what you want, then that's fine. I watched WWF for years back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it entertained the hell out of me, and I loved it. And college football entertains the hell out of me. Even watching the selection show entertained the hell out of me, even though it pissed me off. But how many times do we watch professional wrestling and we get pissed off whenever, your guy doesn't win, whenever the heel wins the, World Wrestling Championship belt? It's like, okay, well, sometimes sometimes the best entertainment is when the bad guy wins. Well, right now the bad guy is winning, and I just don't even know what to say about this, but it's entertaining, I guess. And if you just want to be entertained, then they're doing a good job. But man, if you really think that they aren't, trying to that they're not just doing some shady stuff behind the scenes, I do not believe for a second that they are actually ranking teams by how they truly feel that they should be ranked. Or maybe they are, maybe they're just that tainted. I don't believe that they're ranking teams by how they should truly be ranked. I think they're ranking teams by how sponsors and television networks want them to be ranked. And I think that the selection committee are just a bunch of puppets doing ESPN's bidding. Let's just call it what it is. It's ESPN. They're doing ESPN's bidding because ESPN has the monopoly on the college football playoffs and the SEC and most of the conferences, honestly. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. This video is going longer than I thought it would be. Drop a comment below if you agree, disagree, if you like this new format, or if you let me know what you think. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, the rest of your month. I don't know when I'll make a video again. Enjoy bowl season. I'll probably try to make a video again during bowl season. But yeah, I will catch you guys later.